Alright, so today's video is about slowing down in a world that won't stop speeding up. And, I don't mean slow down as in like stop what you're doing, obviously keep doing what you're doing. But I think more or less like you need to not be in a rush because, there's a lot of things going on right now, geopolitical tensions, economic things, there's a lot of things that you can't ignore. Like, you definitely can not focus on them all the time, but ignoring them would be ignorant. And everything is just so quick. And I think a lot of people, in response to that, they try to rush and they try to speed up and they try to, keep up with the Joneses. And in my opinion, there's a big difference in, speeding up and being fast and being in a rush. Being in a rush comes from a place of lack. It comes from a place of comparison. What are you in a rush for? Like, where are you in a rush to go? Like, back in the day, caveman, Neanderthals, whatever, no one was in a rush. Like, if someone was in a rush, if people were in a rush, it's because, like, oh shit, there's a predator behind us and they're trying to attack us. And so because they're trying to attack us, we kind of have to be in a rush. We have to move with a sense of urgency. We kind of, we got somewhere to be, which is away from this guy. But like nowadays, you don't have that. People are in a rush to get to work. People are in a, rush to get to a certain goal. People are in a rush to go nowhere a lot of the times. And the reason being is mainly because of dysregulated nervous systems and short attention spans. And that's a whole different conversation for another time. But the point is, if you're in a rush, it's like, okay, what are you rushing in relation to? Like, what are you trying to outperform? What are you trying to outdo? When someone's in a rush to go to work, it could be because they're late. And so because they're late, they're trying to like outperform and outdo the amount of time that they have left. It's like, okay, can I make a 5-minute trip? Can I make this 5-minute trip in 4 minutes? Or, I'm 5 minutes behind, work starts in 4 minutes, I'm 5 minutes out. Can I squeeze that 5 minutes into 4 minutes? When if you just prepared and you had just kind of moved intentionally and slowed down, you definitely could have made that trip. And it kind of all starts with certain things that you do beforehand, certain decisions that you make and preparation that you make. But the point is, you're only in a rush compared to something. And a lot of the times, bro, it's like, dude, like what? Like who are we competing against? Like at the end of the day, who are we really competing against? Why are we competing against anybody? Why are we not competing against the version of ourselves from yesterday? And I think that in itself is a form of slowing down, because again, if you try to compete against everybody, there's so many people to compete against. Like there's 8 billion people on Earth, and you've got 7.999.999, whatever billion people that you're competing with. But if you compete with yourself, with yourself from yesterday, you're only competing against one person. And I think it's a lot easier, obviously, to compete with only one person. And when you're competing with yourself from yesterday, you're really not going to be in a rush. Because it's like, as long as I'm doing better than I did yesterday, like, I don't need to go from 0 to 100. I don't need to go from freaking A to Z. Like, I can go from A to B to C to D, and next thing you know, it's like, you're there, you're where you want to be. And a lot of the time, when you're able to kind of slow down and maneuver with intention and be proactive in that way, you still be quick, keep your foot on the gas, belt the ass. If you're not first, you're last. But be cool with it, be smooth with it. Like, you have to move with a finesse. You have to move with an ease, and that doesn't come being in a rush. And That's what the universe rewards. The universe doesn't reward you being in a rush, because again, like, if you're in a rush, you're just going to get more experiences that cause you to be in a rush. But if you're just cool, calm, collected, and you're moving quick, but you're moving with ease and you're not rushing, like, you can move fast but not be in a rush. Again, like, someone could be stuck in traffic, bumper to bumper, absolutely moving nowhere, but they're in a rush, and they're like, oh my god, like, I gotta get to where I gotta go. Like, I'm in a rush, but I'm stuck in bumper to bumper and I'm going nowhere. I'm going 0 miles per hour. But like, I could be on the fucking highway in a McLaren or whatever, going a buck 20, not in a rush. I'm just going quick. I'm just moving fast, flowing, effortless, speed, like, it's different. Like, you don't have to be in a rush to move quick. And so I think that's the biggest thing to understand and to learn. Like, when you're in a rush, the universe doesn't like that. It doesn't like that at all. Like, nothing in nature is in a rush. Nothing in nature is in a hurry. It evolves as it evolves. A tree takes, I don't know, what, 15 to 20 years to grow. However, it's not in a rush, and eventually it gets to its destination because it just grows constantly. Like, it doesn't, go crazy one day growing and then take 6 days off and then, like, try to grow again. It's just constant growth. It's slow, it's intentional, it's effortless. It just manifests outward, creative expression. Like, things just happen. And I'm looking around right now, and there's bees flying, birds chirping. Life's just cool. And I think you have the ability to get to that point if you're not in a rush. Again, like, you need to not be in a rush. Move with quickness and clarity and with intention. However, do not rush it. Just kind of over and over again every day. Put in the reps, and it's going to compound, and eventually you're going to get to where you want to go, and you're going to be like, oh my god, like, that was quick. And you might be going from A to B to C to D, and because you're doing it with clear intention and you're not in a rush and you're just kind of going through the motions at whatever speed I guess you find comfortable, you can go from 0 to 100 like that, because again, the universe will meet you halfway. We're only rushing in comparison to something. Like, my head is big in relation to my fist, but like, my head is small in comparison to my body. Like, my head just is, but it only is something when it's being compared to something else. Like, you can't compare what you got going on, and you can't compare shit to other people, because again, if you're in a rush, it's because you're comparing, and comparison is the thief of joy. And oh, that smells good. My bad, I just got distracted by some food. But comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're in a rush, like, you're inadvertently comparing yourself to something else. Don't compare yourself to shit. Again, compare yourself to yesterday, and focus on who you want to be, and focus on acting as if you are that person. And think to yourself, when I have money, when I have this, whatever it is, when I have that desired reality that I want, am I going to be in a rush? Am I going to be so tense all the time? Am I going to be moving so rigidly and or am I going to be like, am I chilling? Like, am I smooth? Am I calm? Am I composed? Am I relaxed in the heart, awake in the mind? Like, how's life? Because I like to think personally, I'm making a crazy amount of money, or I'm just effortlessly having my way through life. It's like, yo, I'm not rushing anywhere. I'm not worried about shit. I'm not doing all that extra shit. I'm doing what I have to do, what I love to do, and what I want to do at whatever pace I decide to. Like, and again, you need to take some time where you're doing nothing, an intentional nothing, because I personally believe if you don't take at least a few minutes a day to intentionally be calm and be still, you're going to be calm and you're going to be still, but it's not going to be because you want to. It's going to be because you just have no choice. You crash out, you burn out, whatever, crash and burn. And so that's not fun. Like, you don't even need to take a lot of time out of your day to be calm and still. You could read a book for like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, while you're drinking your morning coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, you could be a tea drinker, but while you're having your, morning warm beverage of choice, just sit outside and, like, in the time it takes you to drink your coffee, just, you hear that, it's like, boom, that gap, that space, it's like, yo, that's calmness, that's stillness, that calm right there that was just in that space. That's what you need to learn how to cultivate. And it's that slowness that is the slowness, the intentional slowness in a fast world, that I believe will put you at an advantage over the people going nonstop. Because it's like, bro, you can only keep that shit up for so long. Like, you got to figure out what is success to you, because success isn't going to be the same for everybody. Success for some people could be, oh, I'm making 100,000 a month, I'm making whatever a month, or it could be, yo, I'm making 5K a month. Success could just be freedom of time and energy and effort. It's just freedom of location. I could just go wherever. You don't need to make freaking 500,000 a month to be able to live wherever you want and to have like some sort of time and location freedom. Like, I think in America, the median income, last time I checked, is like 40K a year. And that's a combined annual income, like between two partners. So like you can, that's 3K plus a year, or a month, my bad, 3K plus a month. You can make 4 or 5K on your laptop a month, and if that seems unrealistic for you, then, that's another conversation for another time. But you don't have to make $1 million a month. You don't have to be, driving a Porsche or Ferrari. Like, you can have those things, obviously, if you truly want them, but some of y'all might not even want that. And so, you're following this person that's like, oh, you gotta grind, do all this shit. And it's like, yeah, like, you gotta grind, but I don't know, it's just different in theory than when you're talking about it. It's definitely not like what they make it seem like online. And that's the point, because obviously if you watched a video of someone locked in for 8 hours a day for however long, like, you can't sell products and do shit like that. But realizing that it's like, yo, this is the highlight reel. You can't compare to them, because again, your version of success might not even be this thing. It could just be like, yo, I want to educate and I want to help people. It could be, oh, I want to own a farm. It could be whatever it is that you want that isn't what they purport to you, if that's even the right word. I don't know. I don't know. But that's what they portray to you. Like, they show you this version of like success online, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, and that's a version of it, but you have to figure out your own version. And again, I like to think that in a lot of people's lives, that their version of success would be, one of those things would be not being in a rush. And I apologize for the yap, just to kind of drive that point home. But a lot of people, their ideal life, they would not be in a rush. He's talking over there, and there go my dogs. But yeah, don't be in a rush. In a world that's just not slowing down, you need to learn to intentionally slow down. And they get you with social media and short form content and whatnot, and that's the point. They got you, they got me. What I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna act like I'm above that. Like, I've definitely fallen victim to that, and I still do occasionally. However, being aware of that, consciously aware of that, and being intentional with picking something else other than that is great. And plus, you free up a lot more time in your day, and you have no reason to rush. If you're spending 6 hours a day on social media, then you're going to have less time in your day to do other activities. Therefore, you're going to feel that you need to be in a rush to keep up with everyone else. But if you just reduce your screen time to 2 hours a day, you have an extra 4 hours in your day that you can utilize and not be in a rush. and you can utilize that 4 hours. Like you could literally sit and think for 2 of those hours and not do anything, but you still have an extra 2 hours on top of the other hours that you had to act and to make things happen, and you're not going to be in a rush. And again, it's just going to be like calm, smooth, effortless. Like, you know, people talk about aura, like that's a buzzword now, and like aura is like, it's like always been a thing, and everyone has aura, but it's like, are you, you know, you can't try like with, like, I guess having, like, you can't try with that, and that's like a whole different conversation for another time. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was kind of a long video, and I apologize if I talked in circles at some point. That is a recurring theme that you might see happens. However, I'm going to be more intentional with, you know, not doing that. But yeah, if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Again, this channel is really just to kind of yap, get thoughts out of my head, and just talk. I think it would be cool for my kids one day to be able to look back on this stuff and watch it, and my grandkids, you know, watch it, and shit, even for me personally one day to just kind of look back and watch it, you know, 5 years from now, look back and be like, okay, where was I at, and where am I at in the moment? And yeah, so again, I appreciate you for watching this far. If you've gotten this far, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I guess comment anything that you took away from this video. That would be pretty cool. If you don't even want to comment anything that you took away from this video, just comment the word comment, so I know that you got this far. But yeah, I appreciate you again. Love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whenever you're watching this. All right.